Hey guys, welcome. This is James J. Welcome to Houston Inside Out. And today I am joined by one of my favorite people, Margo Costello from Riverway Business Partners. And Margo, you are the owner of Riverway Business Partners, which is a staffing company. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But how are you doing today, first and foremost?
Doing great. It's such a pretty day outside. You got to be doing great.
It is. Yeah, spring is now. I'm not at Houston, so I'm not going to get too crazy with this because, it'll be like 30 degrees in 2 days. We don't know what to wear around here in Houston, but I think we're pretty much heading into that safe zone of spring. So, but I have literally been tracking you down now for at least 3 months, probably longer than that. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened that have kind of kept us from doing this, but I've been wanting to get you on and interview you because your company has been recognized. We're going to and we're going to talk about this too. Several years now is one of the best places or brightest. What do they call it? Brightest and best. Best and brightest places to work in Houston, which is awesome. And that's what, 8 years now?
8 years run. Yeah, 8 years in a row.
That is. So this is the thing about 8 years, right? Anybody can hit a home run once. Don't worry about the phone. Maybe they get lucky twice. You don't get lucky 8 years in a row.
Yeah, it's just, I like it because they get the information from my employees. I mean, they send out surveys to my employees. So It makes you feel good because it makes you feel like people are glad to be here.
Yeah, and I'm glad you talked about that because in the real estate business, a lot of these awards, now some of them are pretty straightforward, but a lot of awards, the reality is some people just pay. They pay to be recognized. And whatever you got to do. I don't even, it doesn't bother me at all, but I'm glad you said that because this is not you sending in information. Hey, nominate us. They send it to your employees. You guys, I'm assuming you may have a little bit, but not much to do with this.
Yeah, what we send in is we send in things like our benefits and our perks and what we do extra for our employees, and then they send it to our employees and make sure that that they like working here, basically.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what. Let's take it back to when you kind of started this because you guys have been. How long have you guys been in business now?
This is our 30th year.
Gosh, that's awesome. 30 years.
I can't believe it either.
So how did you guys get into the staffing, essentially the staffing business? So take us back to when you started, because you guys are doing very well.
Well, when I got out of college, recruiting was my first job out of college. I went to a temporary employment agency, a direct hire employment agency, and they were having a hard time finding me a job. And literally they said, have you ever thought about doing this? And I was like, I'll give it a try. And that's how I got into this.
So you were trying to get a job.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
And I worked for a couple of agencies, and the agency I worked for merged with someone else, and I just didn't like it anymore. So I decided to start my own. And it was an interesting road. You learn a lot when you do that.
Yeah. So you were working at a couple, I guess, before you went and decided, but you were working for them.
I was working for them.
Right. And then
one of them, it was in the early 80s. Actually, I'm telling y'all how old I am. Anyway, it was in the early 80s. And then the oil business took a huge turn, and one of them went out of business, and one of them actually got shut down by the IRS. And then, yeah, it was a hard time. But then, I just decided to do it on my own and see how it went. And it started out with just me, and then me and one other person, and we just kind of grew it from there.
So let me ask you, so when you say you started on your own, you started the company to get other people employed, or you started the company with the mindset to get yourself employed with another company?
No, when I started the company, it was I started it with the intent of finding other people jobs. That's what I do. And
got it.
And so I would call people and see if they had openings, and then I'd try and match up good people for them. And it just worked out. I always enjoyed doing that work because, well, first of all, it pays pretty well because, and then, but mostly it also makes you feel good because you're actually, changing the trajectory of someone's life in a positive direction.
So for people that may not understand, how overall, and I've worked for staffing companies before, but in Houston, like how big of a business is staffing? Because you're not local, you're not just in Houston. You guys are in other states as well.
We are in other states.
Right.
Most of our business is in Houston or in Texas. But
Okay.
the last couple of years we've ventured into some other states just because a couple of our clients have asked us to.
Okay.
We have an office in College Station that was literally opened up because one of our biggest clients said, we're going to open up in College Station. Will you open an office there and staff for us? And so that office pretty much staffs for that one client.
Right. So for some people that may not know, what's I guess for a big company, what's the benefits of them essentially outsourcing, I guess, so to speak, because you guys, but you also, you know, everybody that works for you guys are not just temporary. You actually do direct hire as well. So you actually
we do direct hire as well.
Right.
But a lot of times, they want to use a temporary agency because it makes it to where if someone doesn't work out, all the liability falls back on us.
Got it.
And so they're on our payroll, and we actually have on-sites that manage the people that we have that work for them.
Okay.
So it makes their job a little bit easier, and it's kind of like try before you buy.
That's great. Yeah, that makes sense. For these huge companies, I mean, because it's a lot of money to hire somebody.
It's a lot of money to hire someone, and then a lot of times, if they know that they're going to have that it's only for a short period of time, like they need a lot of people for 6 months.
Yeah.
Instead of putting them on their payroll, they put them. We run them, and then we have the liability, which is good for them. Plus, we screen them carefully. We do all their background checks. We drug screen them. We put them through the mill.
Got it. So for so 80s, 90s. So kind of take me through time here. So you started with yourself, one other person, and your husband when did he become a part of the company?
Well, it's kind of funny because he at first became a part of it right away because I just did direct hire placement. Okay. And I was referring on my temporary business elsewhere. And he said, that's kind of silly. Why don't we figure out how to do it? And I was like, I don't know how to payroll people. And literally he did all that research, and then he said, okay, we're going to start doing temporary. So he's been actually fairly instrumental in the growth of my company because he thinks a little bit farther outside the box than I do.
Yeah. You need that though.
Exactly. But he's also a home builder by trade. So he would help me, and then he would go build homes, and then he would come back and help me. There's been times where he's actually like taken over for a while. Like recently, you know, I broke my back and he came in and kind of took over during that period.
So you guys are both of you are very entrepreneurial, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Now, on the building side, how long was he doing? Or is he still building?
He still does it some. He built one last year and doesn't do it as much as he used to. He used to build in Bel Air all the time. Okay. But kind of getting away from that a little bit.
Yes. Very cool.
And he built our building. He built our other building. The building in Bel Air he built.
Okay. Because right now you guys have 2 offices in Houston. Is that right?
We have 2 in Houston, yeah.
College Station. And what other states are you in right now?
New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and North Carolina.
And I know we kind of talked about the challenges of kind of dealing with some of the out-of-state stuff. I'm assuming. So for out-of-state company, is it usually a company that maybe you started with in Texas that just ends up going elsewhere, and then you just kind of follow with them essentially?
So far, that's exactly what it's been. They'll do an acquisition in another state, and then they'll need help in that state, and then we put people there. Got it.
So from a business perspective, like what would you say some of the greatest lessons? Because this is a long career, obviously, to be doing 30 years is a long time to be doing anything. I'm an entrepreneur myself, not for quite as long, but what have you maybe learned that you could maybe share with people, that anybody, I mean, because to me, entrepreneurship it really doesn't matter what the business is, the work ethic, it's you got to have that number one. There's a lot of sacrifice that comes, and you guys have 3 kids too.